19th of March. It's 2 minutes before the market opens. And yesterday was a big gap up day, followed by more or less a trading range after the initial couple of pushes up, which was to be expected. And we're gapping down a little bit in pre-market, as you can see on the daily charts, but still within this whole overall trading range. And we'll see what the day brings today. No news scheduled, so that's good. And we're opening up somewhere down here near high of yesterday, or even below that on Nasdaq. On the ES, we are opening slightly above high of yesterday. So it's about a medium gap down, looks like, for now. We'll see how that goes. And trying to record this to record the limit order trading practice that's going on with micros, so M and Q. So that's another half a minute for the market to open, and there we go, open below 18,150 on Nasdaq, below definitely below close of yesterday. So we have an open gap, which is probably, let's measure that. We have an open gap of about 100 points, which is about half an ADR. So we have half an ADR room to the downside. Market on the ES is probably going to go test the high here. That's the high from the previous day, not yesterday, but the day before that. Okay, back down to 5,200. I'll be using only limit orders for this, trying to practice that. Let's see if we get some support at 5,200, which is expected. Should see a bounce here on Nasdaq too. Too early to trade though, it's the very first bar, so we'll let it go a little bit more before we jump in. If it's at 1 ADR is down all the way down here, that's a lot. So you're already giving up a little bit in the morning. I typically like to take these big round numbers for scalp trade, and would set up a buy limit
order submitted
somewhere here. And this is just for a very quick scalp, or $200 scalp.
Order filled.
That's it. And that's my very first scalp of the day.
Target
and
filled.
It's done. That's done. So that was a quick $20 scalp with the MNQ. As you can see, it pulled up quite a bit, and that's normal. You find these reactions at these levels early in the morning. Now what I'm looking for is to see open of day. Are we going to stay below it? Are we going to close bullish above it? If we do close bullish above it, and there is a medium gap here to fill, so we'll wait now for the second bar to see what happens here. So that first trade was also based on the fact that we were at 5,200. I was expecting some support to come in here. So you try to buy a little lower, and wherever there's a possible reaction level. In this case, it was at the 18,100. I expected some buyers there to try to hold that, and also to hold 5,200 on ES. That gave a quick scalp. Now I'll wait until I have some direction from this bar. What I'm looking for is to see if this bar is closing bearish or bullish. Is it a doji bar? Is it a trend bar? To give me some idea here. Since the gap is about 100 points, which is half the ADR, there's room to the downside, and there's also room to the upside to close the gap. But since it's a moderate gap, it might be a while before it gets closed. And the market is not exactly bullish right now, from considering the last 4 or 5 days. We're just kind of stalling on the market. So let's see how what the first candle shows today. As you can see, there is some buying pressure on Nasdaq. the high of March 17th on the ES. On the Nasdaq, that is further down here. So it's on the ES, we have a gap down of, let's measure that, of roughly 10 points. So it's about a quarter of an ADR, not a lot. So this could close quite easily, but we have to see a bull bar for that first. On the Nasdaq, we're starting to get that bull bar. As you can see, 18,150, big round number, and open of day. So that's possible resistance levels. Another half a minute, this bar should close. Then we can decide what to do next. If it closes below 50% of its range, I would consider that a bearish candle. So far it's bearish on the ES. It's closing around the half. Okay, so it's not too bearish. It closed exactly at 50 actually on the Nasdaq. So I would expect again buyers down here at the low of 1, but not a safe trade because it is gap down. It is the first candle is more bearish than bullish. So there could be sellers here, and it could get down further. It could sell off a little further too. So we'll watch and see what the reactions are at these levels. Do we find buyers stepping in again over here at the low where they stepped in? Do they hold 5,200 and convert this into a bull bar? All kinds of possibilities. So just wait a little bit. At this point, we have a gap down. We did have a surprise bear close into yesterday, so this could very well be bearish pressure the first half of our first few bars, and that's maybe what we're seeing. So just wait for it. We'll get an opportunity to take a pullback. If it does turn bearish, we'll probably get a pullback opportunity to sell some more. So I will have a sell order ready here.
Order submitted.
We'll just wait until I see a good indication that sellers are stepping in. So for example, right now, I think if this has bearish pressure, so if this pulls back into the open of day, I would expect some sellers that are at least temporary enough for a scalp. What I'm seeing on the ES is that it's actually trying to hold 5,200, so I'm a little skeptical of selling right now. I want to see how that plays out. If we give up 5,200, that would be bearish pressure, but so far we don't seem to have that, which means there's probably buyers on the Nasdaq too over here. So I'm gonna wait a little bit. Okay. Looks like they are selling, so I can, if there's a pullback temporarily, I can also sell with them. I don't want to sell too low, so I'm gonna sell place somewhere higher. Being only the second candle, this could very well pull back and hold 5,200 on the ES and then suddenly rush up. But I know that there will be at least enough for a scalp if you sell high enough. High enough could be the close of bar 1 or even open of day on Nasdaq. So this does look like there is significant enough selling pressure, and they might go lower. So I may have missed already that trade, but I don't want to jump in with sell the close. I'll still try to find a limit order trade. For now, I'm going to put my order at open of day. That's pretty safe. It gives me time to react if it pulls up. And we have room on the ES. So let's look left on ES. Actually, yeah, we do have a peak here. So this could still form support, 5,200. You have to be careful. But we have quite a significant bear pressure now into the last 4 minutes. So I think a sell, limit order sell at a suitable location would be a better option right now. And that could come at the low of 1, B1, bar 1 on NASDAQ, or around 5200 on ES. We'll wait to see how this closes. ES has not closed below bar 1, but on NASDAQ we look like we'll be closing below bar 1, so which means a pullback I can sell into. It may even sell off right at the close, and I would have missed that, but that's okay. So we are now coming to the close of 17th on NASDAQ. Well, that's a pretty big sell bar, so definitely worth selling that. Question is, do you sell the close or do you sell a pullback? And I like to sell a pullback, so I'm gonna wait, and I might miss it. I might miss the sell. If I sell now at the sell the close, I'll have to add as it pulls back. Okay, this is showing significant selling pressure, so I might even sell the pullback of this bar itself and have to be ready to scale in higher.
Order filled.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to use a white stop now and scale in.
Target filled.
Okay, that was pretty quick. I already hit the target again. Another $20, or let's say 10 points. So I'm getting ready to sell again.
Order
There should be
submitted.
at least one more opportunity to sell higher as it pulls up. So 5200 is going to be a good place to sell on the ES, which is 50% of the last bar. I typically like to take 50% of the last 2 bars in such a situation where you have a strong sell. So I'm positioned right about 18,100 on the NASDAQ, which is also 50% of the last bar. So I expect some sellers there, and also be ready to scale in a little higher, knowing that bar 3, bar 4 could be an opening reversal and it goes straight up to open of day. So I will have to scale in if that happens. But for now, we have some selling pressure. It looks like we have a good selling pressure. I do have 51.95 marked as a level on my ETH chart on ES, so that's where we are right now. Okay, looks like this was not pulling back and it wants to sell further. Looks strong enough for a sell, so I will not sell the close at this point. I will still take a pullback sell. If you look at the daily, we're actually at a critical point. They're trying to sell off below yesterday's low on the NASDAQ, on the ETH daily, which will bring us back into bearish territory. On the ES, not so much yet, but NASDAQ definitely trying to break below these lows here would make it quite bearish, and that's basically what's going on here. It's not decided yet. We're at the bottom of the trading range, so to speak. So if buyers don't show up here, that could bring in more selling on the NASDAQ. And we seem to be selling. I don't see an opportunity for a limit order sell yet, which means I'm probably missing out by not selling the close, but that's okay. After 3 red bars or 4 red bars, there should also be a pullback, so it will come. The pullback will come. forming a decent micro channel now on NASDAQ and ES, which means there should be a pullback. The tricky part is, since it's the opening, you could also get opening reversals, so you have to be careful about that. The last minute, wait for us to close to make a decision. Got 2 trades in so far, just 10-point scalps. As you can see, the buyers are stepping in over here. So at this point, you have to decide, are you going to set up a limit order now at, let's say, half of this range of this channel? Very likely that there will be sellers at least halfway. So let's measure half of this channel from here to here. Put the half of it is right at the middle of the bar 2. So that's a good place to sell and be ready to scale in higher if needed. So we do have now 3 consecutive bear bars on NASDAQ. On ES, that is actually a bull doji, the 3rd bar, but I still expect some sellers halfway up or 5200 on ES. And there'll also be sellers above B3. So if you do sell that, you need to be ready to scale in higher. ES is reaching its halfway back mark, and 5200. Still don't see any selling there yet, so I can probably wait to sell a little higher. It's probably gonna go without me, but that's okay. Yep, ES seems to be rejecting at 5200. But we are only a minute and a half into this 5-minute bar, so not really pulling back a whole lot, which is quite bearish, which means we're already gonna go finish close, 1 ADR move on the NASDAQ. 1 ADR on the NASDAQ is about 18025 area, which means you could also get an open, and there may be limited downside after that, considering we are in a micro channel. That seems a fair target, and then a pullback. So bears don't seem to be in a rush here, or they don't seem to be able to move it down quickly with momentum, which means there's some buying pressure over here. I'm not selling yet because I didn't get a decent pullback on this micro channel, and we do have wicks on the 1st and the 3rd bar in this micro channel, so it's not as good as I would like it to be. Also, it is the first 3 bars of the day, so an opening reversal is always possible, so we have to be careful about that. So I will only scalp and get out quick if it pulls back, and be ready to scale in at open of day if required. As you can see on the ES, we have a 24% gap down. That's decent. On the NASDAQ, we have a 44% gap down. So with these first 3 bars, it's more bearish than bullish, obviously, today. There's going to be an attempt to get back and close the gap. That becomes a broad trading range. Remains to be seen if we get a trading range sideways or if we get a more bearish day. Right now, the chance for a bullish day is slightly lower, but too early to say. All right, I think we're going to get a little bit of a pullback here. So last minute of bar 4. Let's see how it closes. I will move my order out of the way a little bit to see how high this is going to go if it goes. If it doesn't, that's a weak bull bar, which means it will attract more sellers. So then you got to make the decision, are you going to sell the close again or still wait for a pullback? Doesn't seem to be a deep pullback. It's very shallow at the moment. Would like to see it come at least halfway up here to 18,100 in the middle of bar 2, which happens to be the middle of bar 1, 2, and 3 also. Yeah, looks like I'm not going to get it. So that probably means more sellers above bar 3, middle of bar 2, and I can probably sell it when they... I will probably sell... Oops, it did not trigger my order. I was too late on that one. But I will sell slightly higher. As expected, sellers are selling the high of bar 4 because that was not a very strong bull bar. After 3 red bars, the bulls didn't really do much, so sellers above. Looks like I missed that sell too. I'm going to go back to my original idea and wait for the sell at halfway up, because this does look like a high one. It is a high one trigger on NASDAQ. So let's see if there's more sellers trying to create an opening buyers trying to create an opening reversal over here. The idea is even if they do, there will be temporary pullbacks on the way up, which will give me my scalps, but I may have to scale in. We have on ES, you can see we do have 2 consecutive bull bars, not the best looking, but they are bull bars. So I have a sell order already stacked here. I will probably have another sell order placed closer to open of day.
Order submitted.
Bulls are definitely pushing. So on the ES also, I think there will be sellers above bar 2, open, and open of day. So there's room above.
Order filled.
That triggered my order at the midpoint, close to the midpoint. And we will see if this is gonna pull back and give me a scalp. I have a break even automatically that triggers, but I'm gonna move that back and give it a little bit more room to breathe. See if I get a deeper pull and give it a little chance to move a little bit more further than the 200 than the 10 points. But I will decide based on how I see this candle moving. If I don't see sellers stepping in, I will get out of the trade or move to break even. There we go. So now we have some sellers stepping back in. That's not bad. And I will now go to break even on this trade, because if it suddenly pops up, I don't want to be in that. That means buyers are stepping in heavily. Okay, this would have given me my $200 scalp, but I'm going to give it some more room to breathe, just in case it drops a little further. And it doesn't seem like it, but there's a lot of back and forth that normally happens in these bars. So gotta give it room to breathe a little bit sometimes. Okay, that was a 10 point already, but I don't see it moving down a whole lot. There we go, there we go. Okay, now I'm putting it at break even now and give it a chance to move down if possible. If the sellers sell this here, I should get more than 10 points. So that's the whole idea, is to see if I can let this go a little further, and I will trail my stop if that happens. We have about half a minute on there. Don't see the seller stepping in here, so I would probably take profits on this if I don't see it closing lower soon. Okay, looks like buyer stepping in the last minute here. There's a fight going on between the buyers and sellers. I want to give them a chance, and it's a free trade at this point. So if I can get it to flush a little bit, I'll probably take off 10-20 points on it. Hoping to see the sellers close this bearish. That would bring in more sellers. Okay, that's a doji, not bad. Should bring in more sellers, but there we go. I'm gonna put my stop right here.
Order canceled.
Took that. I'm out of that trade because it is 2 consecutive bull bars and 3 of them on ES. So there is a chance here that there are some bulls still sticking around. It does look like there is some bullishness there, although not the greatest bull trend or series of bull bars on ES. So still under 5200, some resistance. Now I'll let it play out. There still will be opportunities to sell higher because we are bullish on the bearish on the day. We have a gap to close, and bulls are not yet doing a great job. We're still below 50% of the day's range, so a lot of reasons to still sell higher. It all depends on the approach, how we get to this point, open of day. If the bulls start getting strong bull bars, I'll be careful. So far we seem to be hesitating, and it's good enough for scalps. So that last one probably got about, I don't know, 12, 13 points on it maybe. We'll check later. Okay, at this point I could be careful that if this is an opening reversal. The EMA is catching up. So one of the common patterns would be to get 2 legs up into the EMA and then reject again on such a day. As you can see on the daily, they did manage to prevent a breakout for now. But that can change in 1 or 2 bars here. All right. We are 4th, 5th, 6th bar. Very common to see some change in direction on the 3rd and 4th bar, or later on the 6th, 7th, or 8th bar. That's typically what I have seen, the opening reversals happening around those bars. Unless, of course, it is a trend from the open. This doesn't look like a trend from the open yet. We're definitely getting a trading range now on the ES. You can see a lot of wicks, a lot of overlap. Not as much overlap on the NASDAQ, but then it's still a trading range. So on the ES we have, let's see, 95 to 06. So it is a tight trading range. It's only 11 points on ES, so that's a tight trading range. So gotta be careful there. You can see the selling pressure still there on NASDAQ. Not able to get above 18,100 or the midpoint. We're selling at that midpoint. So that was another scalp right there, selling again at the midpoint of the day. There was another good scalp there. So you can see bearish pressure still present. We haven't got a second leg down for this first bear leg, which is a decent micro channel. So it should get at least one leg down, or sorry, one bar down as a second leg. Haven't got that yet. Instead, we're getting doji bull bars. So not a good job by the bulls, but still wait and see. Still bearish, more bearish than bullish. So could go sideways. That's the last 30 seconds of this minute, and still no bullish momentum kicking in here. So I still would look to use limit order sells to scalp this. On the ES, it looked like it did trigger a low one, which then failed. You're getting wicks on these last few bars here, so it's looking more trading range. But we do have 3 bull bars, not the best looking again, but all of them have wicks, so we probably have to give it some time now. This doesn't look too easy for me to trade with scalps because there seems to be no real direction, other than the fact that there's probably sellers at least at bar too high and open of day, and I could scalp that, knowing very well that it may shoot up to try and close the gap, and in that case I have to be careful. Alright, bulls seem to be now trying to maybe get this at least to the open of day on ES, which will also bring it to about the highs of B2, bar 2 on NASDAQ, or maybe even open of day. I think there's a safe place for another scalp with limit orders. So I'm going to position another limit
Order submitted.
and move that. As you can see, there's still selling pressure. Bulls cannot seem to get a strong bull bar to close. And on the NASDAQ, it's still selling around this 50% level. I'm not going to sell there again. I already did that, and I want to give it a chance to move up and sell higher again, because I do see the selling pressure, so I expect that to continue even if it goes higher. I may miss out because this could just very well sell from here and start a downtrend and get that second leg, but I'm not ready to take a risk and sell here again, because there does seem to be some buying attempt. I want to see how high they can take it. And if I do sell around the open of day on NASDAQ and have to scale in around low of yesterday or close of yesterday, it is still manageable. Although the EMA is catching up, so we should probably run into resistance at the EMA, so plenty of opportunity to scale in if I have to. But all that is first the bulls need to get there, so let's wait. Is there a better place to sell between this 50% and the open of day? Sure, high of B2 maybe, but that's not that far from open of day, so I'll just wait for it to get there. ES is getting to the open of day, so I would expect to see some reaction when ES gets to open of day, and then it's a short trip up from there to low of yesterday and the EMA, which is also a good place to sell. given that we are in a trading range and the expectation is to stay in a trading range. I don't see the bullish action as highly bullish, so I would expect trading range. So yet another reason to sell at around the open of day. And we haven't got that second leg down. We don't necessarily need to, because this is the opening bars, so it could very well be an opening reversal. Have to just be aware of that. I don't see bullish momentum, so that is encouraging for a sell. The question is, where do you sell? That's the tough part. Every bull bar seems to have wicks on it, which continues to tell me it is a trading range price action. And as long as it's trading range price action, I can sell high and buy low. Question is, where is that high and where is that low? So let's turn on. Okay, that's a decent bull bar. That's the first decent bull bar on Nasdaq. ES is still showing trading range, so I think I can still sell and expect some downside pullbacks when this reaches higher. ES is almost at its open of the day, but I would prefer to sell closer to the open of day on Nasdaq, and then expect that second leg down. So let's turn on the opening range indicator here. Opening range, simple bars. Yeah, let's just make it visible. Looks like we might get a trigger of my signal. Let's of my sell order. Okay, why didn't we get the opening range indicator to come on? Opening range, it's visible. 9 bars. Okay, make that 6. Make that 6. Let me see what we get. There we go. So we've got our opening range. This is the bottom third of the opening range, upper third. So a good area to sell, upper third of the opening range also. And open of day seems to be a reasonable place to do that. Looks like we're still selling as we approach open of day on ES. Still seeing selling pressure. This is not a very good looking bull channel, micro channel. On ES, every bar has a wick on it, so still okay to sell in my opinion, as it gets to a pretty much a double top here. It may shoot up into low of yesterday, that's a possibility, or the EMA. So trading only one micro, trading small, and I can scale in higher. Okay, looks like we are already seeing that selling come in at the high of B2 on Nasdaq. This is a slow bull leg up, trying to be patient to sell as high as I can, knowing that there is selling pressure. If you compare the 3 bars coming down, looks much stronger bear leg than this bull leg going up. So, and the fact that we have overlap in this bull leg going up means more probable we will get some trading range action when it hits resistance. Alright, looks like they're selling at the B2 high. I did not get in on that trade, but the sellers are already trying to get that second leg from the high of B2. That would have been a decent sell if you sold, let's say, a couple points below that high. I was not positioned there, I was positioned higher, so I missed that. As you can see, that was already a good scalp. Let's see, how much was that? Is that a 10-point scalp there? Oh yeah, definitely. That was a lot more than 10 points. So can we sell on the close of this bar if it closes at its low? That would be a low 1 trigger. Yes, could be sold. And if it pulls back, you can sell higher too after that. I just wish I was positioned at the bar 2 open or below that. That would have been a better entry rather than, I don't like to sell the closes. Okay, that does look pretty good on the ES. That does look like we reached almost the top of the trading range and they sold. Although this is not the second leg down, so still possibility of a second leg down, and now it may be good to sell 50% of this bar or back at this high here. I would expect sellers here again. I think I will sell 50% of this bar. It did not trigger my order yet. All right.
Order filled.
Now it's in, and I'm positioned for another 10-point scalp here, but if this one does flush, I want to give it some room to work. I want to take out my break-even stop and move it out, give it a little wider stop, allow me to scale in higher if needed, and let this trade work out and see if I can get catch the second leg down, which may just be 1 bar, but that may be 20 points or more, which is good enough for a scalp. 18,100 could very well be resistance, but give it some room to play to the downside. Okay, I see some buying pressure there. You see the candles flickering. That's a lot of buying pressure coming in there, but we have to give it some room, so I will put my stop right above the open of this bar. Maybe a very small scalp, but it gives it the room to at least try and get a little bit further downside. I would probably just get a 5-point scalp on this, but then I can sell again. That's okay. Yep.
Stop filled.
That took me out. Probably got a 4-point or 5-point scalp, but I will be ready to sell higher then, because it
Order
does look
submitted.
like there is some selling pressure, and right now 18,100 seems to have formed a support. 5,200 could form a support on ES. Just waiting to see if that can crack, and if it does, there might be an opportunity to get back in. Yep, there we go. My stop was too tight, obviously, but I'm gonna give it another chance. Let it take me with the momentum. Limit order just below 18,100. If it can pull back once more, I'm in.
Order filled.
There we go. Give it a chance to work out again at this point. Now I will scale in at open of day if I have to, and I'm gonna again remove my break even so it doesn't come down automatically and take me out suddenly. But a good point here to let this fall into would be B6 lows maybe, or maybe the high of B4. I expect it to come down at least till that. if they can flush it. If the bears can get that leg down, it doesn't seem to be like they're gonna get that, so I will have to scale into this one, which is fine. And I see this happen when I see it pull up significantly and turn from a bear bar into a bull bar. If I get another chance to get out break even, I will, because I always can re-enter a trade when I see that bulls are actually stepping in. Although I still think it's a trading range day today, and there will still be opportunities to sell above and break even. Right now it looks like 5200 is holding on ES and 18,100, so that may be why we're not selling here. So this one is going to require scaling in my opinion, and I can do that at multiple locations where we sold at the high of B8, open of day, and we'll just have to see where else, or if we have to do it higher. Okay, we have a second bear bar, although it is more of a doji bar, but that should still bring in more sellers, and I will let this play out a little bit here. We do need the 5200 to crack for this to work out on ES, and 18,100 on NASDAQ. So I'm gonna give it some room here. See if I can get another 10 point or maybe even a 20 point scalp here. That would be decent. I would expect buyers around the high of B4, so that's gonna be, I'm gonna be looking for that. And that's about 20 points basically. So bears are looking for that second leg down, but they don't seem to be getting it easily. So seeing a lot of back and forth here. I think the best sell was that sell on B8 high. Right now we seem to be struggling to continue that sell. Because I'm streaming the video, my computer seems to be lagging when I'm trying to move these orders, so I might stop streaming if that starts affecting the way I'm trading here. But just waiting to give this bar a little bit another chance to move down. There's typically at least 2 attempts either side. And right now, since it is trading range, I'm expecting some further downside on this. I will move to break even when I see 20 points approach, so that again I don't have, so it's a free trade after that. Yeah, 5200 is cracking on the ES. I want to see how far this can go, how bearish they can make this. Very close to my daily goal if I get this trade to work. We still have 2.5 minutes. Bulls seem to want to hold the 5200. They don't seem to want to let go here. So what I might have to do here is take what I get and then look for another trade, because that 5200 seems to be holding. I would like to see at least a decent close on this one for continuation. If I start to see this to flush, I will put my stop at 10 points, which is right about here. Right now I can't seem to move my orders quick enough because of the lag of the stream, but I will put it just below my break even just to be safe here. Yep, it doesn't seem to be able to sell off here. There seems to be buyers stepping in every time it goes down. So I'm taking this trade off right now, and that has met my daily goal of 50 points, looks like, and it may very well go without me now, but that's the thought process of the limit order sells. And I think this is the second leg down that I was expecting. It's just that there's so much trading range on ES. This might very well be where the bottom is too. Never know, but I'm out. That's it. All right, so I'm gonna stop the stream here.